Hey everyone, and welcome to the Entrepreneur PodGuide, created to share the collective wisdom of everyday entrepreneurs who are bringing their visions to life, the ones in the arena. We've all read the same billionaire books, but what about the wisdom from the entrepreneur next door? The ones building, learning, failing forward, and figuring it out one step at a time. I'm your host, Britt Rodriguez, and every episode we're bringing you honest conversations, fresh insights, and lessons from entrepreneurs just like you. This is your place to learn, grow, and get inspired by your fellow business owners who are actually out there building businesses today, not just dreaming about them. So, let's get started.
When we tell kids that they have to play video games so that they can develop professionally, they just think that we are joking, right? and even companies say, like, you're telling me that I have to tell my employees now that they have to play video games to get better.
Welcome back, entrepreneurs. Today's guest is Gianluca Ferremi, who is joining us from Italy. He's the founder of WisePath.ai, and what he's building honestly sounds almost too fun to be true. But I assure you, it is true. WisePath is a platform that measures and develops soft skills through video games. That's right, video games. And at a time when AI is rapidly leveling the playing field on technical or what we call hard skills, Gianluca is tackling a harder problem: how we actually understand and grow the soft human skills that drive leadership, adaptability, and real performance. In this conversation, we talk about why traditional education and corporate training struggle with soft skill development, how interactive gaming environments create safer and more effective learning environments, and what it looks like to build a global startup team that spans across multiple countries. If you're an entrepreneur looking to sharpen your soft skills, build a global team, and understand what truly motivates people today, you are going to love this episode. So let's dive in. Welcome to the podcast, Gianluca. I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you, Britt, for having me in your podcast. I'm also looking forward to the conversation today.
Excellent. Well, tell everybody about WisePath. Tell us, what you're up to right now and what you're doing.
So yes, WisePath is my fourth entrepreneurial project. It's a platform that measure and improve soft skills by using commercial video games. So we recognize the importance of soft skills in the job market and in the future of development for company. And that's where we decided to invest in building a platform that can teach them in a way that other technical skills are taught. So in a way that you can measure them accurately, you can develop them, you can monitor progress. And let's say the cherry on the cake is the fact that we discovered that video games are ideal for that. And so we decided to use the commercial video games, the same video games that people use to entertain themselves, to have people playing them and us analyzing the data to be able to then measure up to 16 soft skills. That's WisePath in a nutshell. It's a very young startup. We are still at a very early stage. We are starting right now our trials and pilots, both in the enterprise space and in the educational sector, which are the two markets in which we are very active. And the feedback is ecstatic. People are enthusiastic. Just the idea, when we tell kids that they have to play video games so that they can develop professionally, they just think that we are joking, right? and even companies are saying, talking at us and say, like, you're telling me that I have to tell my employees now that they have to play video games to get better. It's kind of a dystopic situation, a very paradoxical situation, but things are going very well. And as I said, we born in 2022. And we are actually an American holding, even though I'm based in Turin, and we are doing a lot of the initial work here in Europe and developing the market here in Europe. My co-founder is in Dallas. The company is a Delaware corporation. And of course, our goal is to go global as soon as possible.
Nice. I love the game approach because I'm a former educator. I was an educator for 10 years, and any and every way I could make the learning process a game, I would do it because it was so like game play combined with learning. It's like, I don't know what else beats it. It's such a full-on way to get people to learn and remember all kinds of things. And that's from kids to adults. Like, I'm sure we all have read some of the Rich Dad Poor Dad series. One of his best things, he has a game called Cash Flow. And you can read Rich Dad Poor Dad all day long, but playing that game makes it so real. And it's like, oh, this is like this put into action. So I love that you approach it with a game mentality because that is such a wonderful and powerful way for people to learn. It's
Uh,
amazing. Whose idea was that to make it to bring in the game part?
Well, it has been a kind of like we found ourselves funneled into that place because when the initial approach was that let's say we are a company of people of a certain age that experience on their own skin the hard way what it means to learn about soft skills
Mm,
and all the things that we could have done better by knowing about soft skills sooner if there was a way to learn them in an easy way.
mhm,
So we wanted to teach soft skill. We wanted to transfer our hard won experience into something that the young generation can take and run with it. But of course, we started with surveys. And
mhm.
we were wondering, like, we were looking around for surveys. We said, like, man, we don't want to do it. Can you imagine a 20-year-old that sits down and, answer 200 questions? And then when you answer those questions, what kind of answer do you give? It's all a subjective point of view, like it's like me saying, am I a leader? Sure. Are you
Mhm.
an entrepreneur? Sure. Do you face challenge, face on? Yeah, sure. Like, of course, I'm going to always give the positive version of myself because that's what everybody thinks of themselves. So we
Right.
were looking for something that would be objective and accurate, but at the same time, it couldn't be like a scientific questionnaire that lasts 2 hours.
Mm,
The key for us, the spark went on when we found a research foundation in Spain, actually, that was 5 years, that was testing how to use commercial video games to measure soft skills. And with them, we started a research project, just in exactly in 2022, when we decided to then start the company, in which we brought this into an actually actionable and sellable solution that would be easy to use and scalable in order to do this properly. So the video games were a natural extension of what we do. Now, I'm an old-time gamer. Yeah, I'm a Pac-Man guy,
mhm.
a Defender guy. I'm not a Halo or Counter Strike type of person. I get lost in there. I mean, I'm already have difficulties chasing my nephew when we play Minecraft. Like the speed at which he's moving the keyboard, I'm just like sorry, get back 20 steps and tell me what I have to do. Yeah,
Love it.
but
I'm a Mario
but
Kart girl myself. Yeah,
yeah,
Super Mario and Mario Kart.
exactly. So, but I understand the power of games. And if you take it from that point of view, we learn the most difficult things: speaking, walking, dealing with people, playing.
Mm,
That's what we do the early years of our life. We just keep playing, and we learn all that stuff by playing. So, playing, like you said, it's the natural way we should learn anything. So
mm.
anything should be a game.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the industrial revolution of 1870s and what came out of that is began structuring education in a formal industrial type of very hard, and rigid railway toward a specific objective. And
Mm,
that all fine and nice. I mean, it did allow us to get where we are right now, but it doesn't work anymore.
mm,
It just for the way the market has become. I'm saying it's not just a matter of being against the industrial revolution of 1870. It's like we are not in a market. We are not making shares on volumes as part of a growing business. Now it's all about intellectual properties, about artificial intelligence, about dealing with technology in an almost personal way,
yeah.
just going into ChatGPT and Claude and all the rest, right? So, geez, nobody would have thought that we could find ourselves in an environment like that. And the impact on the job market is enormous. So
Right.
what we really need to focus on is the human talent, right?
Mm,
That's what is becoming a differentiator. Because if AI writes code for everybody, then everybody writes the same code.
right.
It's gonna be the same AI that does the same code for it. It's not gonna make good code and bad code, or maybe there will be if you pay the highest level subscription, it does better code than if you pay the lower subscription. I don't know. Maybe that's a business model, but it's not gonna fly at the end, right? So anyway, AI has has commoditized knowledge, and
Mm.
therefore now it's what do you do with this knowledge that it's becoming really important and a differentiator for company. And so we are at the forefront in making people aware about their human talent. What
Yeah.
is it that what assets do you bring with yourself, regardless of what you studied, what's your career is, what you learned. That's all part that adds to it, of course. And
Mhm.
also a place where you learn to develop those skills. But what's your talent? What's your human talent configuration that it's your natural asset, and how can we develop that and use it in
Yeah.
order for you to be successful and the organization in which you work to be successful as well.
Yeah, and, so, I mean, even back to, like, a core principle of what you do, the hard skills versus the soft skills. So, for someone who may not be familiar with those terms, what is the difference between the hard skills and the soft skills? Let's start right there first.
Yeah. So look, it's actually two point of view on diametrical opposite assets. Let's call it that way. Hard skills are basically all. Well, first of all, the soft skill terms comes out of the military.
Mhm.
It actually was it is a term that came out around the 70s in the U.S. Army to identify the people that were not dealing directly with technology or technical based equipment.
Mm.
So the people that weren't driving a tank or using a mortar or something like this, and they were dedicated instead to logistic, to managing intangible stuff. They were they identified those skills as soft skills versus the hard skills of knowing a technology or a real hard job. So hard skills are basically or the technical knowledge. You technical in not just in terms of technology, but technical in terms of the expertise that you have that allows you to do a specific task. It can be running a company, it can be doing accounting, it can be whatever it is. It's a skill that it gives you the expertise to be able to reach certain results by applying those skills into a specific sector in a specific environment. Soft skills are instead those, in fact, let's say in other languages, they're called transversal skills. Because while hard skills are very vertical, soft skills are very horizontal. Those are the skills, your cognitive and emotional skills that allows you to actually do that task well. So it's are the skills that allow you to be successful in applying your technical skills.
Right.
So in fact, how do you deal with the team? How do you deal with pressure? How do you deal with stress? How do you organize yourself? How you solve problems that were unexpected? These are all skills that you develop during your normal life. It's stuff that we learn by just living and we use every day that we want it or not. But another key difference with that skill is that they are very intangible.
Mm.
How do you measure critical thinking?
Right.
How can you say like, I have a diploma in critical thinking? Well,
Right.
how do you do that, right? While instead I can definitely say I'm very good at JavaScript or I'm very bad at, accounting. And
Mm.
I can learn accounting very easily. The knowledge is there. I just have to apply myself and have the desire. I'm going to be good at accounting. I just haven't read the rule. But what it means to become good at critical thinking, like
Mm.
how do I train? How do I measure something like this? And that's
Yes.
where we try to change the rule of the game.
Can you give an example of a soft skill that you are able to hone and, strengthen, improve through one of the games?
Absolutely. Look, I'll share an anecdote about exactly when we were at the beginning of, when we were working on the research project and we were also experiencing for the first time the video games to do this. So I'm just as a background on me, I lived 25 years outside of Italy internationally. I lived in California, I lived in France, in Paris, I lived 19 years in Barcelona. And because of my job, which has always been global, I have to engage with people from very different culture, from Africa, from Asia, from South America and the United States and Europe. So very different culture, very different mindset. It's well, I thought, growing up in this environment, and I thought that I was very good at cognitive flexibility, which is one of the skills that we measure, right? So I decided to play one of our video games, which is one of the games that we use, which is Cell to Singularity. It's an evolutionary game. You basically are God and you are driving the evolution toward a singularity, which is actually very actual with where we are right now, in which there is the singularity that we are waiting for, the general artificial intelligence. Anyway, there is the evolutionary game. And one of the things that they measure is cognitive flexibility. So I play the video game, and of course, being a gamer, I get sucked into it. I play like 12 hours the video game, and I build dinosaurs and everything else. Besides, I learn a lot of things about eukaryote cell and prokaryote cell, which I didn't understand the difference, but the game teach me what is the way that they impacted evolution. Anyway, I go and see the measurement that we actually did apply on the data that I generated, and my cognitive flexibility is super low.
Wow.
And I'm like, no, yeah, like, of course, being at the beginning, being in the project, we say like, there must be some mistake. We must be measuring wrong. Okay. So we check the data and everything else. Of course, the psychologists tell us, no, this is like, eh, this is not wrong. Maybe there's a mistake somewhere else. We check the software, everything else. But in the meantime, a friend of mine, that is running a hiring company, a job placement company, created a little game, not a video game like the one we use, but more of a gamification small game, and to test some of these soft skills in his own environment. And one of the skills, he had a video game that was exactly to test the cognitive flexibility. So I said, like, okay, let me play that video game. So, if that video game, let's see if I'm good. I'll play the video game, cognitive flexibility disaster. It's like,
Oh, man.
and so
Wow.
at that point, I had to realize that. So I actually did a little bit in cognitive flexibility, and I realized that cognitive flexibility, it's not that much the ability to deal with cultural differences. It's the ability to use somebody else's rule systems as your own. So
Mm,
if I, you have a way to solve a problem and I have another way completely different to solve my problem, would I be able to assimilate your way to solve the problem so that I can get into it and understand it from the inside, so that then I can give you my feedback and say, look, this is better, or mine is better because of this and yours is better because of that.
mm,
And I realized, and this is the point that I'm trying to make, I realized that actually that's something I can improve. I
mm,
am a sort of like a rigid person that once it sets into an idea, it's very difficult that, like, I in a conversation, I always tend to prove my point. And I have a very difficulties to put myself into somebody else's shoe. I understand what they say and I analyze it rationally, but always from the point of view of my own rule set.
mhm,
And that's what I had to realize. So what happened is that all of a sudden I became aware of cognitive flexibility in everything I was doing. Every time I was having a conversation with somebody, this alarm would go off and say, like, hey, careful, man, because you are being now entrenched into your own mindset. Try
wow.
to think with the rules of somebody else. And that improved a lot. It changed, the way I was dealing with problems and deal with other people. This is exactly the power of having an activity like playing video games that is associated with a concrete result that you can measure. And all of a sudden, you become aware of this thing.
Mm,
Things that, if I would have done a coaching session on cognitive flexibility, I probably would have had a blast for a couple of hours. But then, I would have gone back to my old ways as soon as the session was over, because
mm.
that's what usually happens.
Yeah.
So exactly to answer your question about, like, how do we develop the soft skills, and what happened to me in the case of cognitive flexibility.
That's so cool. And I love, again, how the game helps support this. A game gives you the inherent, like, ability to put it into practice immediately. So, like, you are actually doing it. You're not just, like, getting the information and not engaging with it. Like, it's the engagement piece that's so critical, and measuring something, like you said, that's intangible like that, that is a lot harder to measure, and then that the game is able to do it and with accuracy, and then I'm guessing also because the game is so good, like, it's able to target y the deficiency and then help you, um, in an engaging way, improve, right, and grow that.
Absolutely. That in two ways, actually, because we call basically video games digital gyms.
Mm.
The example I usually give to people to have them understand is that if I decided I want to run the 100 dash meter, 100-meter dash under 10 seconds, the first thing that a coach is going to do as soon as they see me is that they send me to the gym. I have to develop the physique, the structure, the muscle, the physical attitude in order to be able to do that. But even if I stay in the gym for years and I do only that, I still cannot run the 100-meter dash in less than 10 seconds unless I work with the coach who works on my way of doing things,
Right.
right? So what we do is exactly the same thing. In the video games, you have finally a place where you can safely experience and practice stuff that usually you practice in real life, but with big consequences.
Ooh,
If
yeah.
you have a problem with leadership, you're going to experience it during an interview or during a fight with your boss, which is completely disastrous for your career, right? Here you can experience it with an avatar that you can do all the mistakes you want. You may even be killed by the avatar at the end of the experience. You just turn on the game again and try it again, right?
Yeah.
And so that allows you to build the soft skill muscle. But then you do need a coach that will help you train what's missing besides playing video games in other ways that are exactly what you need in order to do that growth. And that's why our platform acts as a diagnostic tool and a way to bring down to earth these intangible concepts so
Mm.
that the coach can really target what you really need to work on. So if we go into a company, we don't do the classical leadership coaching workshops for the entire engineering department because half of those people doesn't even want to be a leader,
Yeah.
right? Um, we'll do it exactly for the people that we know that would be good at doing leadership, wants to be leaders, and therefore we are very effective by understanding how to deal with each one of them depending on what they're good at and what they're bad at. That's the power of what we do.
That's so cool. I absolutely love this, and I love how you, are approaching this in such a interesting way. This episode is brought to you by our guest, Gianluca's company, WisePath.ai. WisePath lets you play, learn, and level up your soft skills through game based experiences. And right now, you can try for free. Jump in, see how skills like adaptability and problem solving show up for you, and explore insights from the first platform that could actually measure your soft skills and help you grow them. WisePath is early stage, so Gianluca and his team invite you to test out the platform and give them feedback that will actually help shape the platform as it grows. If you want to work on your soft skills in a fun and engaging way, head over to WisePath.ai today. And I think on that note, one of the questions I have, so like traditional education and corporate training, they certainly have their place and they certainly have things that they can do to help. But what are they getting wrong about the soft skill development? Like what does traditional education and corporate training, what are they missing?
Well, like you said, it's a very good question because they're actually not doing anything wrong. It's
Mm,
not a question of doing something wrong. They do the best they can. Right now, the only way you can develop this type of skills is in working with a coach or your teacher. And in many schools, they even dedicate time to this. For instance, we are part of a project in a trade school in which, as part of the course, they offer 60 hour of emotional intelligence course.
mm,
Right. So they are doing it. They understand the importance of this and they're doing it. What was missing from the market because nobody knew how to do it and how it could be done was the possibility to measure this and to visualize it. so that you can see it, right?
Right.
It's different if you tell me, you write me a piece of text that says, I'm good at this, I'm good at that. And yeah, I understand the concept, and it's even flattering for certain things and maybe disheartening for others that I'm not good. I discover I'm not good, like cognitive flexibility, for instance.
Mhm.
Um, but on the other side, it's very difficult to action on this, to bring it to use it in some concrete way. When I see a chart and I have exactly 16 soft skills with their definition, and they show me which one is high and which one is low, I relate to it. I
Yes.
can begin saying like, oh, okay, if I do this game, let's see how much I improved. And you see how much you improved. They become part of your normal experience the same way we learn any technical skill. That's why we learn technical skill and we stay up to date with technical skills, because we can measure where we are, understanding what we don't have, and learn what we are missing. In soft skill, there was no way to measure. How can you train anything if you can measure? Unfortunately, the schools, the corporation are doing whatever they can right now because they're desperate for these skills. The statistic analysis and reports are showing that the skill gap, right? Like there are 85% of organizations are experiencing some sort of soft skills gaps in the
Wow.
market. This is like pretty much every company out there. Um, Yet they can't, it's like an isotope. You
Mm.
have to fix the electron into that atom in order for that atom to change into something else, and there was no way to fix the soft skill electron into that atom. And that's what we do. That's exactly what we do. We bring it to such a tangible way that now you can relate with it. Now
Yeah.
it's all in the space of, we keep in mind that we are still dealing with intangible stuff, right? There isn't the ultimate course on critical thinking. You will never know everything there is to know about critical thinking because it all depends from the situation that you're going to find yourself into. But we can measure how you respond to those situations. We
Yeah.
can train you to be better at responding in critical thinking to those situations because now we can finally touch it.
Yeah.
We brought it into life, and then now people can assimilate it.
Yeah. Now, and so you mentioned one of the things I like about WisePath is, so you are talking to me now from Italy. You said your partner is in Dallas, and you talked about the global aspect of WisePath. How has that been for you guys? Taking this to in different countries, and you said this is your fourth entrepreneurial venture.
Yeah.
Which congratulations, by the way, is super exciting to be on starting a new whole journey here. How was it to be in different, starting in the U.S. and in Italy? Did it start in which country was it started in, or simultaneously in both?
WisePath started actually in Italy
In
with a
Italy.
completely
Okay.
different team. Okay, we
Wow.
we were actually trying to address a, let's say, the idea was still global,
Mhm.
but I was based in Italy. I came in touch with people that were interested about addressing the same problems, and they were all Italians. And so we decided to open the company in Italy, also because there was a lot of hype in Italy at that time. This was like 5 years ago, about opening startups, the government facilitating the opening of startups, et cetera, et cetera. So we decided to give it a try. Now, the reality was that Italy is not a place where you want to open a startup. It's everything you can do in Italy. You can open a restaurant with much more success, even if you don't know how to cook, than opening a technology startup. There isn't the mentality for something like this, and the market also is very small and very conservative. So it's not like the Silicon Valley where they try every new things that comes into the market to
Mhm.
test it and see if it catches.
Right.
So that, and also, let's say at that point, I realized also that there were problems with the team.
Mm.
And that's one of the big step toward a different way of building a company, which is one of our goal as well, related exactly to the soft skills, meaning the team was all in Turin. We were all based in the same place. We were meeting physically. We were doing the thing, but the talent wasn't right.
Mm.
The person that was expert in marketing, yeah, was expert in marketing, but not exactly the talent we needed for this project. The
Mm,
person that was expert in sales was good at sales, but wasn't exactly the perfect person for this. And that's where I realized that you need to be able to access the talent, whatever the talent is.
mm,
And you want to have the best talent for your project. It doesn't mean the best talent in absolute. It's for the project that you have at hand.
right.
And so I began accessing the network of people that are living abroad. Like our CTO is in Germany.
Wow.
Our CFO is in Barcelona. My co-founder is in Dallas. I'm in Turin. And it's like the designer also is here in Italy. So
Wow.
and we work 100% remote because of course I'm not gonna ask my CTO to leave the perfect environment he created for himself after all these years in his own home and in his own place. He's German down to the bone. He
Mm,
has no intention to move to Italy. Or me, I have no intention to move to Germany. So why should we do that? Right? So the point becomes, how do we first of all accessing the talent that you need, but then how you manage the talent remotely, because it's very different, right? There is a dynamic in the office when you're together that we are used to, and we are trying to build a company that it's completely different from that mindset. It's and at the end, what's important is the vision. In fact, it's a complete new environment, a complete new economy. Like the world is shifting dramatically from task to activities that matters to you.
mm,
Like meaning into our work has become very important, especially for the young generations.
yeah.
I mean, young generations such as yourself. It's not just enough to go to the work and become VP at 23. That's relatively important. Sure, money, career, they're all great. We are not saying that we don't care about that anymore, but there is another piece, which is, I want to do something that it's meaningful for me. I want to still have the opportunity to see my friend, to be with my family, to work in an environment in which I'm stimulated. Just going to a factory is not more an objective for the new generations.
Mm,
And in this environment, that's where you need to begin aligning on different principles. It's not just matter my age, my generation, the Generation X. Money was all that you needed to talk about, right? With money, people would have done anything. It would have moved to another country even if they didn't like it. They would have done a job that they hated. But money was the carrots you were dangling in order to have them to do anything. Very easy to manipulate, right?
mm,
Um, Young people, no. For the first time in the job market research, um, money, salary is no more the first topic to choose for a new job.
wow.
It's well-being in the office.
Mm,
So sure, you pay me a lot, you pay me little. I want to have fun when I come to the office, right? I wanna
yeah.
I wanna be with people that I admire, that I can learn from, that it's stimulating, because otherwise I can't get out of bed.
Yes.
And that's the new dynamic that we are trying to build also in our own company. It's not easy because there's no books about it, right?
Mm,
You can find millions of books about how to build a corporation structure and do, like there is literature all over the place, but nothing. And so we are inventing that as well. And I'll tell you, it's fascinating because, um, as I said, there is a new environment that it's brewing, a new way of working, a new job market in which AI is extremely important and has a huge role in allowing us to do this. And we want to be ready for that. We want to take a full advantage of that, because I think that the future of business, it's all there. Right?
yeah.
Successful company will be company that are able to access talent wherever the talent is, giving them the best condition in their own homes. And so policies like, everybody back to the office, in my opinion, in the long run, they're gonna all backfire.
Yeah, I agree. I was not expecting that answer at all as the reason why you guys are, so global already. That's so cool. Like you approached it from a team building, talent finding perspective, and you didn't let your location determine who you brought on. You really wanted to bring on the people that were best for the project. And if they
Right.
weren't wherever they were, you met them. And because of technology and the way things work today, you're able to create a company very easily that way with your person in, you guys, your person in Germany and in Spain and in the US and you in
Right.
Italy. And
Correct.
you can do it, in a way that we would have never been able to do before, or it would have been extremely difficult. So that's a cool answer. I honestly think that's very neat. And I love like that already shows your entrepreneurial creative mindset that you kind of went that way with it, and that you had to pivot because at the beginning you were in office with your
Correct.
group in
Right.
in Italy. You've already done a big pivot there, so that's very cool. With WisePath so far, um, I love to ask my guests, with where you are in the journey, you're still pretty early on, but what has been the most rewarding part of it so far for you?
Working with the students. That's like like the Mastercard advertisement, invaluable, right? It's the ability to begin a conversation with them in first of all with something that it's much closer to their interest.
Mhm,
Not coming with a book, but coming with a video game.
mhm,
And second, to being able to show them that they have talent no matter what. They can be the worst student in the classroom, okay? But they may have innate asset that could be super valuable in the economy that it's about to come. And it's actually coming up as we speak. This is enlightening. This is extremely rewarding because I do believe, and here I speak again as a Generation X, the world in which we are right now, in my opinion, has been, whatever little good and lots of problems we created, it's Generation X that created this problem. So if we want to fix this in some way, we have to work on the new generation. We have to enable them to being able to fix all the problems that we created. And I think that that's actually it's a duty almost for a moral duty, an ethical duty for me and for my team. And so that's the most rewarding part, working with the students, and in the same way working with young employee inside companies, and slowly beginning to see that also all the employees are beginning to look at this in a way that it's opening some door in some of them. So
mhm.
the big transformation that we are bringing into their way of working, it's the most rewarding part of this job.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that. And on the flip side of that, what has been like a challenge you've overcome or that you're currently working on or a learning curve that you've had? And, again, this is your fourth entrepreneurial venture. Every time we start something new, oh, how we do not have it all figured out. And so we always have bumps along the way no matter how many times we've done this. So, what has been something you've either already overcome or a big learning curve for you with WisePath?
Well, it's my background is in technology. I started as a developer, and then I
Nice.
worked in business development all my career. And when I worked with startup, or I started my own startups, I always brought to market something that didn't exist before. I mean, for me, it means building a company is it's only if there is a blue ocean in front of you. Building a company for a red ocean, it's not for me. There's
Mhm.
other people that are good for that, but not me. I need a blue ocean. So I've always been looking at what's missing in the market and try to bring it. Now, with that, as you said, it comes the huge challenge of figuring things out. I'm
Mhm.
not an HR person. I definitely am not a pedagogist. And so I had to learn from scratch. With the entire team had to learn how to deal with, a complete different sector,
Mhm.
different type of mindset, like selling to a principal of a school. It's completely different than selling to a manager in a company. The mindset is different. And as well, talking to a person in HR is, a set of problem that we never figured out in an environment, technological environment that we never understood. And that has been, it is still a learning curve that we are working with in order to be able to bring our solution to the market. So learning about, well, it's the challenge of every day, right? Learning about what we don't know.
Yeah.
And in order to make what we would like to do,
Yeah. And that's a great answer, and it actually feeds into my next question for you, which is, a lot of people listening, they're probably in your phase of the journey. At the end of the day, a lot of entrepreneurs are, especially of small businesses, where we're really looking on how to really to bring in more clients, and clients that we like, clients that we're aligned with. Um, I love the Mark Cuban sales cures all saying. And for a lot of people, that's kind of where they're getting stuck. So with WisePath, you've kind of mentioned that that's been a learning curve this way, and it's so hard to bring something brand new out into the world and to get people to hear about it. What has been working for you that you can say, it's been helping with WisePath, it's helping get your message out there, it's helping you connect to good clients that you like. What advice do you give to people that's working for you?
well, like two two things that I learned, especially with this project, and they are kind of like on the opposite side of the equation. The first is that you do need to listen carefully to your intuition.
Mm,
Try to wean it from any egocentrism, but at the end, that intuition, that is the key. You need to follow it blindly. You need to go for what you really believe is what the market needs or the market want, or whatever you want to do with what you're doing. Now, that's the creative side.
mm,
The other side that I realize is that once you have an intuition and you make a plan for it, stick to the plan. I
mm,
mean, it's then in its execution, execution, execution. Of course, you go back to the plan on a regular basis when orthogonal situations happen to your original idea, which you need to objectively analyze in order to adjust. But don't compromise on your initial intuition.
mm,
Adjust the plan. But once you adjust the plan, then stick to the plan. And that's the most important thing, because the rest, the customer you like, the projects you like, they will all come
mm,
if you keep drumming your solution with your passion. The passion will attract people with the same passion. If we compromise, that's why if we compromise on that initial intuition, we begin compromising on the passion that we have. We begin compromising on our initial dream, and that compromise is where then we begin having customers that are not really aligned with what we do. Instead, the passion is it alone will drive all that to us, as long as we stick to the plan and stick to our initial intuition.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Like, and like, so never letting that go. Stick to your plan, and then adjust the plan, but don't adjust your intuition. Like, that's
Right.
awesome. Awesome tips. Guys, AI is moving fast, like blink and it's different kind of fast. And if you've been thinking, I know I should be using this in my business, I just have no idea where to start or what to do, I've got two pieces of good news for you. One, you are not alone. And two, that is what my business, Archer AI, was created to do. I talk with you, I sit down, I learn about your business, figure out where AI can save you time or make you more money, and then I build it for you. It's custom, simple, and done so that you can stay focused on what you do best. Grab a call at archerai.org and let's get you ahead of the curve. For entrepreneurs, we have what I call a yuck and a yum, things that we like, things that we
Hmm.
hate doing. So I love to always hear what that is. And it's so fun because it's so different always between each person. And so for me, I always give the example podcasting. I love talking to the people, I love the conversation. I hate the editing. And so I try and get AI to do as much as possible. I God bless the people that love to edit and love to do those details. Like, I'm so grateful because I do not love that part. So for you as an entrepreneur, what is the thing you love to do and the thing that you are just like, oh, I delegated that the first second I could, or, I can't wait to get this off my table?
Well, look, I'll get back to what I just said. I love making strategies. So I love
Yeah.
to analyze the situation, get data. I read lots of research papers to to create, let's say I feel I'm very good at understanding trends and identifying something that is missing that could enable new things to work better. I'm very good at that. And I like to strategize on how to bring it to market, especially at the global level, cross-cultural, like really a sort of a risiko world domination type of
Yeah.
strategy thinking, right? The fact is that I love it too much. And in fact, the thing that I love the least is the routine execution part of the
Mm,
job. Once you have like, okay, now what's today? Okay, you have to call these 5 customers, and or you have to send these 5 mails, and when if it's one day, it's okay, but when it becomes like every day, every week for a long period of time, which is part of the planning that myself I created right in this strategy moment, I hate that. It's very difficult for me. The routine, it's a killer.
mm,
I had to learn to deal with it. That's it. That's one of the point about soft skills, which are the trainable part of the personality, and I had to learn to do that. And also because, for instance, like you make a much better podcast if you know what editing it has to do later on. You can make the
right.
life of the editor much easier if you do things in a certain way, and the editor will be much more happier and then in working with your video. And same thing for me. If I wanted to realize my goal, my vision at the end, I cannot disregard the execution. But this has been definitely like if I could sit in a room and just read data and talk to people and figure out ways to create new solutions, that would be for me like being in a cake store.
Nice.
On the other side, in fact, when it comes like to file taxes, to go and do the road shows in which you present the same presentation over and over again. It's like that's for me mind. Yeah, it's mind boggling.
Are there ways that you found that where you can delegate some of those things or bring in some assistance to help you with those things that kinda
Yes.
keep you away
Yes.
from the strategy part?
It's yes and no. Meaning, of course, like for instance, right now we are in the process of. I feel I found my VP of sales.
S
Great person, great lady. She has all the things that I need and I want in a person and in this job needs. And there is a great unity of vision. And the reason why I'm looking for her to join our project is exactly because I'm more of a business development type of guy. So I create a prototype, I'll put it into the market, I'll make sure that it begins working, but then to scale this up, you need a complete different sets of skills. And there's people that are much better than me. And so I want to access that talent in order to accelerate this process. Nevertheless, we cannot do our job well if we are not trying also experiencing directly what it means all aspects related to our job. So
Right.
I don't want to be completely out of execution because then I become I run the risk to isolate myself in my ivory tower. And strategy is great, but a strategy without the feedback of the market or a concrete plan, it's empty. It's daydreaming,
Yeah.
and then it loses also the steam and the passion around it.
Mm.
So I still want to be in execution. Of course, I want to be learning from people that are very good at execution, and that's
Yes.
why I bring the talent into the company, not for them to do it so that I cannot have to do it anymore, but for them to do it together so that they lead on that and I follow and I learn. And so, because I need to understand that piece if I want to be also very concrete in my strategy sessions. And that's, in my opinion, very important for the success of a project.
I love that. As much as we want every single day to be 100% things that we love, it certainly can, like, keep you kind of, like you said, in your ivory tower, and then you're not really connected to anything else. So, I love that you delegate, that you found someone who that's, like, their ultimate strength and what they really succeed in, but you're not cutting yourself off from it entirely. You're still learning from that person, and making sure that you're connected to all these parts of your business as well. So, I love that. Now I have a question for you about yeah, about WisePath. Let's talk about so where it is right now. You've given us a great taste of where it is right now and what you guys are building. Now, if I'm talking to you a year from now in November 2026, what is your hope for WisePath and where it will be then?
Whoa, 2026, actually, it's more than a hope. It's at the end of our cash flow projection and business plan that is going B2C. That's what we are really aspiring to.
Nice.
And 2026 is the year in which we are going to develop the platform to be ready for B2C. Now it's
Nice.
ready for B2B. And let's say get that seed investment that we are looking at now. I told you we are in an early stage, and revenue are coming up. We set up the distribution channel for the education sector, so that's pretty much beginning to go on its own, and pay the bills. That's the key part. But we want to have this seed investment that could add to the technology what we need to become B2C ready, because B2C is the natural place for what we do. There are 3.5 billion gamers in the world, and 80% of playing time is played around 66 titles total. I mean, it's
Wow.
like out of the 50,000, 100,000 titles that are out there, 66 titles concentrate 80% of playing time. So the thing that I would love to do is to send an email to 3.5 billion people on the planet and say, hey man, all that time that playing time you have invested into, let's convert it into professional development in
Mm,
one moment. Just give me access to your data, and I'll give you, like, in 24 hours, I'll give you the map of your talent.
nice.
And that's let's say the goal we aspire to be able to, let's say, the door we want to open at the end of 2026.
Oh, I love that. Okay, that's awesome. So I'm gonna have to follow back up with you then and see how the B2C
Yes,
part's
please.
going.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
yes.
so cool. I love it. And so now I have a question. The reason I ask is because people learn in different ways, as you know, through you are choosing gaming, which I think is phenomenal. What I'm gonna ask for is a recommendation for the audience. So I would love for you to give me either a book, a podcast, or a social profile that you recommend people to follow.
Wow. Okay. You come like just the right question at the right time, because I just got the book that I am looking forward to read.
Oh, nice.
And I have it here on my desk because it just arrived like a
Oh,
juicy.
perfect.
Yeah, yeah. And it's this one, right? It's
My big
my big
toe.
toe, my big toe. So it's Thomas Campbell, basically is a physicist. It's a world-renowned physicist, and that has created this big toe. Toe stands for theory of everything.
Mm,
So he's saying that basically he has devised a theory of everything, which is the ultimate goal of theoretical physics.
mhm,
Now, this is not a theoretical physics book, it's a book for everybody. But basically, he puts together consciousness, physics, and the way reality, let's say, how reality really works.
wow.
And the at the center of all this is the fact that basically everything is information, right?
Mm,
The quantum physics speaks about reality being information. It's information that moves from one place to another, and information moves faster than the speed of light, etc., etc., etc. You get then into quantum physics, and this, in my opinion, is mind blowing, because if
uh-huh,
we can really have a way to bring together all these different aspects, well, then what we can do in our life, whatever we want to do, it takes a complete different meaning. So that's regarding the book. But two podcasts that I found very, very interesting. The one is a podcast from it's Diary of a CEO, from a guy, I forgot the name, but the last name is Bartlett.
mm,
And he invites all the big names. So he has a. If you he invites all the big people on many different aspects. So and he does these podcasts that are like 2 hours long, an hour long. So he really delve and give a lots of space to the person. He's very smart. He asks a very, very good question, but he did podcasts about AI with AI experts and about soft skills and about all kinds of things, all related to business. So
Nice.
excellent podcast.
Diary
Very,
of a
very
CEO.
diary of a CEO.
Nice.
The other is the podcast of the CHT. I don't remember the name of the podcast, but the CHT is the Center for Humane Technologies.
Mm,
And it's an organization that has been built by a bunch of people that worked for a lot of social networks when the social networks were building themselves. So these are people from Facebook, from Snapchat, from other social network, which built the today's social network. They're the people that actually, created the people that created, that invented all these things that we are running on now, but then realized that, something that it seemed like totally innocent,
mm.
like saying like
Like a
for
like.
that,
Yeah.
like a like, all of the sudden has a social impact that they could not foresee. And they're bringing a message of being conscious, or an ethical message inside technology from AI. And their podcasts are extremely interesting because they bring these ethical aspect to things, in the sense we can still innovate, we can still bring the advantages. We just have to make sure that we don't just let this thing go.
Right.
It's the same as with the Manhattan Project, when they were studying fission, atomic fission. You can create an atomic reactor that brings a lot of energy. On the other side, you can create an atomic bomb. The difference in between is the ethic of the person that is deciding to use that technology. That's the point of view that they bring in their podcast. And being based in the Silicon Valley, they are like on top of the latest technology, the latest innovation, and they have few podcasts about AI that are enlightening.
Wow. And I think that's so cool. What a good recommendation, because a lot of us listening, our businesses are certainly getting more tech focused, and like yours, like you're creating something brand new, right?
Yeah.
And how wonderful to learn from them that have already done it. And so we can look out for that, yeah, because we can start with a certain intention. But things can morph, as they often do in society, especially if they really
Yeah.
take off. So it's good to hear from them and their wisdom. Those are great recommendations. Thank you for that. Um, Now, my final question for you is, this has probably resonated a lot with people who are really interested in developing soft skills, in learning, how they can use it in their organizations or just for themselves personally. I'm sure that there are a lot of people really drawn to the gaming part, like I am. I love
Mhm.
that way of learning. So how can people follow along with you? How can they follow along with WisePath? How can they get involved if they want to start taking some action here, and implement these things? So, and for everybody listening, all these things will be posted in the show notes, but if you can share how people can find you.
Sure, absolutely. Well, WisePath.ai, it's our website. As I told you, right now we are focusing on B2B. So it's, you find all the information about what are the advantages we bring to the enterprise sector, or the education sector, et cetera, et cetera. But we do leave a door open for anybody that wants to access the platform for free. And there is the possibility on the homepage, you will see there is a place in which you can download our registration guide,
Nice.
and you can access the platform. The platform is extremely straightforward. Fundamentally, we are just asking you to open an account on Steam, the video game portals, which you're probably familiar with, and begin playing. Then we connect that account in a very easy way with our account in the platform. And when you get back into the platform 24 hours later, you begin seeing your soft skill being measured.
Oh, cool.
That's open to everybody. So
Wow.
we welcome everybody to join, use it, and send us feedback, of course. Keep in mind that we are early stage, so everything works perfectly, but sometimes it could look better, right? That's what we could. That's how we're gonna evolve. But please do send us your feedback, and definitely let's play and measure your soft skill. That's open to anybody that wants to do it.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that. So you can go on now and go ahead and start
Yeah.
playing, which is amazing. And the feedback is gold. He's asking for it here. Feedback is the best way to improve product. And so, Gianluca knows this. He is ready for it. So get in there, play. The more people that play, the better feedback you're going to get, the
Yes.
better product he's going to be able to bring. But yeah, check it out. So thank you all so much for joining. Thank you for creating this really cool thing. This is really cool. I'm really excited to see what WisePath does, and how it really helps people build those skills and in such a cool way. So thank you for taking the time.
Britt, thank you very time for the opportunity to share. I enjoyed the conversation very much. You are a great host, and so I'm really thankful for
Awesome.
having been part of your podcast.
Awesome. And I hope we can connect next year and see how the
Please,
B2C part's
yes,
going.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. I genuinely love this conversation with Gianluca, and I loved hearing all about the work he's doing with WisePath.ai. His company is thoughtful, innovative, and honestly, just really fun to talk about. For everyone listening, if this episode sparked something for you, make sure you check it out at WisePath.ai. All the links are in the show notes as always. And if you enjoyed this conversation, share it with a fellow entrepreneur or leader who would love it too. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode of the Entrepreneur PodGuide. Now go get them.